Hello, everybody. Welcome to our hybrid cloud solutions for simple and complex workloads, understanding the right cloud options for your business applications needs webinar. I'm Sinead Marsh and the Commercial Product and Marketing Director for Service Express. I'm joined today by our panel of experts, and I'd like to welcome Steve Sibley, VP of Product Management Systems globally at IBM, Louise Hutton, our Head of Platform Architecture and Design here at Service Express, and also Stuart Hayden, our Head of Managed Services Delivery at Service Express. Thank you for participating in today's conversation. I know it's going to be very interesting. We understand that organizations are at different stages of their cloud journeys. CTOs and CIOs have a lot to consider as they ensure that their business is set up for success. Steve, can I start with you? What are the current trends in the market around hybrid cloud?
Sure, Sinead, and thank you very much for having me today. Really excited about the conversation we are about to have and the offering that we have jointly worked together to deliver through Service Express. You know, cloud has created an amazing set of opportunities for businesses to innovate more quickly, to drive optimization in their IT infrastructures, and really respond to what has become a very dynamic environment, you know, both in, general business, but clearly in the IT world. You know, many companies, started their focus around cloud with new applications for mobile access or, other kind of client-facing kind of applications. But now many companies are starting to lead with kind of a cloud-first thought process. Now, that doesn't mean a cloud-only direction, and it certainly doesn't mean they, aren't going to continue to optimize in different ways around their IT infrastructure. But this opportunity to think cloud first gives them more flexibility and agility in what they're driving. As people have started, businesses and organizations have started to evolve their thought process, they're now thinking about those core mission critical workloads and applications, in addition to those, client-facing mobile applications I mentioned earlier. And that's going to give them both more opportunities and flexibilities, as well as ways to optimize cost. Some of the real key issues that our clients are facing are, first and foremost, things like skills and the ability to extend or augment their own teams with a managed service provider to go drive new things. Again, the agility and flexibility to spin up new applications, new capabilities, or address peaks in workloads that the cloud can provide from an overall environment. And then, of course, cost, right? Whether it's a organization that's looking to, move out of their data center to save, the tremendous amount of cost that data centers can, or just, to augment that data center without having to add, more different costs. Things like energy are clearly driving a thought process now around how do I become a more sustainable organization, and can I leverage cloud to drive that? So a lot of different reasons clients are moving to the cloud, but it's certainly going to be a central part of most organizations' strategy going forward.
Thanks, Steve. I think that gives us a really good view of actually from a market perspective of what you're actually seeing, and actually the complex set of different things that are actually impacting clients' decisions and the market decision as they move to cloud. Stuart, I wonder if you could also explain that in terms of what we're hearing as Service Express from our customers. What are you seeing as their challenges?
Okay, thank you, Sinead, for that intro. So very briefly, Stuart Hayden, Head of Managed Services, as Sinead said. The common trends and concerns our customers are having today are mainly around the skills shortage on the IBM iX platforms. From a fact point of view, we have a shrinking pool of IBM I talent and skills across the globe. We have fewer younger professionals that are interested in the IBM iPower platform. We have IBM administrators that are very rare to find these days, which is now having an impact to customers who are running their on-prem power servers. And funnily, we're seeing IT managers or admins from other technical platforms performing basic IBM I operating system tasks, which is not a great place to be. So the result of that is that the customers are not seeing the true benefit of the IBM Power Platform.
Thanks, Stuart. I think that kind of gives us that real sense of, that interaction with customers. Louise, you're looking at this from a platform perspective as you architect the future of what our platform looks like. What are your thoughts on the customer concerns and challenges?
Thank you for the intro, Sinead. Well, I've been around this industry for a long time, like quite a few of us. And I've sat and watched trends come, trends go, trends come again in a different guise. But the only trend that's been consistent is the environment's got larger for each of our clients, more complex for each of our clients. Any company of any size these days not only just has a bit of technology, but they also have a complete computer or technology department, and also CTOs running those departments. CTOs nowadays, instead of just having, or companies nowadays, instead of just having a cupboard with a server within it, they have a complete complex environment. So CTOs today not only find themselves with on-premise with a wide variety of different technologies, servers, storage, networks, backups, all from a mix of vendors, with a wide variety of applications hosted on those at different servers, with a mixed bag of operating systems, legacy, some inherited, and others, technologies which they're starting to modernize, all in disparate, separate islands. On top of that, we had the added bonus that as they start to modernize, they started to move to cloud. As Steve said earlier, a lot of companies, especially as they've got larger and they've tried to reduce on some of the technologies, or also the costs of their server farms that they're finding that they've got, they now have a cloud first as their strategy. And we've seen cloud first for quite some time. So they don't just still have this on-prem estate that they're having to look after, which we've said is complex, but they now have to work with an off-prem estate with a mixed variety of different providers, maybe one or two different providers, giving them different cloud facilities for them as well. So it's really a mixed bag. And if that wasn't enough to deal with, with all of these different technologies, different servers, different providers, different places, not necessarily just on-prem, but within somebody at your servers in somebody else's data centers hosted. We've also got spiraling costs, and especially, I'm thinking back to some of the conversations I've had only this week with some people where, spiraling energy costs, we're suddenly having conversations where we're actually quite pleased that our energy bill next year is only going to be double what it was this year, and suddenly that becomes only double is a really good thing to have. When did that become something that was a good thing to have? We've got the green agenda, which plays into the cost of the energy bills, but they sort of go hand in hand, is a big thing that they need to worry about. Cyber security, risk of hacking, all of this is suddenly coming up to, none of this stuff we sort of thought about even 3 years ago is now right in the forefront, since COVID, of all of these things that everybody's having to deal with. And then, like both Stuart and Steve said, because of this complete mix of everything they're having to deal with, the number of disciplines you need in an organization is vast. And so wherever they're going to go, they've got a myriad of disciplines that they need to have. So there's a skill shortage, not just in the IBM space, or there's just a skill shortage, because of they have so many different things they're having to deal with. So, and of course, one of the most underestimated phrases I've ever heard, I think, in this technology is, why don't we just re-platform? Re-platforming isn't something that's, a thing that everybody can do. You can buy in new platforms to do new things, but re-platforming is just such a major task that we're having to, the CTOs and CIOs are having to keep the technologies that they have, because re-platforming is just not a simple thing to do. So what we're finding is, They're having to manage all of this, navigate through the complexity of skills with the limited budgets that they have and with the limited resources that they've got. And it's just not easy. You know, you think from where we were, you know, back in the early 2000s or even late 90s to where we've become, you know, in the 15s, you know, 2015, 17s, and then COVID hit, and where we are today, it's just so complex for every single CTO, CIO, the environments that they're looking after. It's just so complex.
Thank you, Louise. I think that gives us a really in-depth and really good view of all of those things coming together, that complexity, as you said, you know, as we're having to think about all of those different things. And but as you were talking, and actually as Steve and Stuart were talking as well, you mentioned a number of terms, and we're also hearing that in the market. A few of us were at Gartner this week, for example, and we were hearing more as well. And, you know, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, as a service, platform re-engineering, and lots of other terms. There are so many terms. Steve, would you mind if I move back across to you to actually give us your view of what all of these terms mean and you know, how we can understand them together?
Yeah, Sinead, it's really fascinating. Through any kind of innovation and evolution, there are these, you know, different ways people characterize or try to talk about how they take advantage of those opportunities. And as Louise just highlighted, it is a complex network of environments, and the terms sometimes can be just as complex. But whether you really think about it as a multi-cloud, which, you know, in traditional terms is multiple public and private clouds on your own premises, hybrid cloud, which obviously is both on and off your premises and taking advantage of those services, or any of the other as a service or platform re-engineering terms that are out there. It really is about the client deciding what journey they need to take to extend and optimize their IT infrastructures. And a critical piece of that is obviously partnering with the right company to help them drive or navigate through those different options to select the right workloads that they may, you know, move to the cloud. And as Louise said, you know, not having to re-platform and spend a whole bunch of money on, you know, essentially just shifting to deliver the same capabilities your current applications are doing today, but how do I extend those in new ways? So I may want to optimize that by moving it into a cloud, but then extend it into new services and spend the real investment in that area. You know, we found in surveys with, you know, IT organizations around the world, as IBM has talked about that, companies that extend what they do in kind of a hybrid cloud world, as opposed to, you know, re-platform, get about 2.5 times more return on their IT investments than companies that spend the time to just re-platform and essentially do the same thing they were doing differently. So it's complex. A real key is understanding the journey you're under, what your key priorities are, and then teaming with the right partner to help you through that journey.
And I think that, you know, when I talked about what I was, you know, explained previously, the reason we understand that is because we've experienced all of this ourselves. You know, so it's not only our clients that have experienced this, you know, we've experienced this. In fact, most of the industry is in a similar position. You know, everybody's looking for a way to, you know, including our clients, is a way to, how do we simplify this? How do we navigate? And one of the things we're doing at Service Express and we've partnered with IBM is we're looking to make sure that we have a solution to help our clients navigate through this complexity, help them to better understand their environments, and more importantly, shoulder some of the burden. You know, we here at Service Express and also at IBM, we have a significant amount of skill set, specifically in the IBM space, but we do have a significant amount of skill set that we can help take that burden away from some of our clients. And, you know, working with IBM, you know, was looking at our estate that we had, and really what we had to do is change the paradigm. And I think what's what Steve was sort of saying about this, we needed to relook at the estate that we've got and actually change the paradigm of how we were working in the past to a completely new way of working, by implementing new technologies, methodologies, which complement our extensive in-house skills, but also using that skill set and technology and also methodologies to try and ease the complexity. It doesn't mean the complexity is going to go away, but we're going to actually implement things in a different way to ease those complexities. We here have partnered with IBM to do that. And, you know, our solution, we're calling it a hybrid solution, because not only are we saying that our cloud that we're producing here is a cloud that you want to go for certain parts of your business critical applications, for example, and the type of workloads that Stuart described earlier, but also we understand that, you know, it is complex. There are multiple other cloud providers out there, but also you'd probably want us to help you manage those other cloud workloads as well. So the reason we're calling our cloud a hybrid cloud is because we would want to help you manage workloads on other cloud vendors apart from ourselves, you know, so the traditional hyperscalers, for example. Does that help?
That's really helpful. Thank you, Louise. And I think as you're talking about that, we're starting to get to the why of all of this, as well as the what, and you know, the reason why the what needs to be simplified, and the why, you know, talking about, you know, the different types of workloads. And one of the things that I've been hearing a lot about is around those mission critical applications and bringing it all together around those mission critical applications alongside what is going on to more of the public cloud. Stuart, what do we need to design for our customers around those solutions?
Okay, thank you, Sinead. So here within Service Express, we've got a team of architects that will do the design for your solution. To do this, we need to listen to our customer and understand what their requirements are. So when we talk about requirements, we're talking about what applications they're running, what operating system levels they're running, the network configuration, current performance, the specs of the servers, to get a really good rounded understanding of what the customer's workload is about. Also factoring in future growth, so growth of the business and what we expect that workload to grow by, whether it's 10, 20, 30%. All of this information is factored into the design, so that we can ensure that we deliver the right solution for the customer to migrate into the secure hybrid cloud.
Thank you, Stuart. So I think that talks about actually what we need to do at a customer level as we're designing their solutions. Louise, when you're actually designing from a platform perspective, what are the gaps, or what are you trying to get right to make sure that we're able to deliver and scale for our customers?
So I think it's important to look at where we were and why we were like that before we move forward. So you've got to understand where we come from in order to understand where we're going or where we want to go. I think that's very important. And so looking back at our estate, I noticed that we got numerous islands of storage and servers that were implemented seemingly to make things more secure. And at the time, that was, because we've been doing this for, decades now, at the time that seemed like a really good methodology to implement. But actually in today's work, in today's environment with today's technologies, and especially as you scale, suddenly what you thought was really good and seemingly really secure suddenly becomes actually the opposite, because it becomes, the technology that you're implementing is less robust than what you could implement if you did it another way and you looked another way. The technology that you're implementing, as you start to expand, it becomes more unwieldy, much more difficult to look after, much more difficult to maintain. And so what we did was that we looked at what do we want to do for our clients. I've already, our clients' estates and the motivations of why they come to us. So in other words, what are we hosting for our clients? And as you said earlier, most of our clients within our, most of our servers, our clients' applications within our estate, They're business critical backend applications. These are the applications that typically aren't suited to go to the normal hyperscalers, because if they were, they would have got to the hyperscalers. So these are all the things that can't get there because either the operating system type doesn't allow itself to go to those hyperscalers, the application size or architecture doesn't allow that to happen. You know, that's not been architected in a way that hyperscalers can actually accommodate, or just the sheer criticality of the workload. You know, the criticality of that workload isn't typically the type of way, the type of application that you want to put in a hyperscaler. So,
I mean, as you have done this, right, and as you've looked at your work, you've clearly been pretty successful bringing customers and servicing them. Why do you think customers are coming to Service Express for this expertise with those mission critical workloads?
That's a really good question, and I think, you know, I can sum this up in one paragraph. I think, you know, I was going to say one sentence, but it's probably with me it's a paragraph. You know what I'm like. I'm sorry, but basically, if it's a client has an absolute need for their particular application to be running as it is at all times, which they would consider to be their crown jewels, their most prized possessions, they're looking to put that with a supplier that they know that they're going to look after it in the manner that they would expect it to be looked after. So in other words, they come to us because they know that we're going to look after their most prized possessions. And what we've wanted to do, you know, what we want to do now is not just look after their most prized possessions in the manner that they would expect. We want to look after those most prized possessions and take that to the next level. We want to look after their prized possessions by partnering with IBM in a manner that they can't even get to, they couldn't even achieve by doing it on their own. And we are we're calling this next evolution of our cloud that we're building with IBM, and with your help, you know, with all of your helps over there at IBM, our secure global hybrid cloud.
Steve, I'm just going to come in from a people point of view in answer to that question. Why do people come to Service Express? For me, it's the skills and expertise of the teams that we have, which kind of links to my update on the limited skills. We're grateful and very lucky to have the IBM skills, knowledge, people, expertise, and hopefully that is why our customers come to us, because we deliver that all-round solution, not just the solution, but with the people with it.
Can I just, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back on to what Steve had, onto what Stuart's just said. It's not, it's about the mentality of those people as well. Most of those people are not just doing a job, they're doing a job that they love, and they love their clients. And all companies say this, that the client comes first, but here, clients really truly come first, you know, and it's demonstrable that clients really do come first.
I think what you've said here, you've spoken about IBM as a vendor, Louise, and I was going to ask you about that, about all of the reasons, because around our secure hybrid cloud with Power 10. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that, and perhaps Steve as well, around why actually around these mission critical applications, why actually the capability in the vendor that we work with and work together with is so important.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. You know, when you're looking for a vendor that you're going to partner with, there's lots of things that we want to achieve. We've got to look at what do we want to achieve from the platform first, and not just be, you know, we talk a lot about the IBM, the AIXs and all of those sort of things, but we do have a large estate of VMware as well. So, you know, we did have choices over which way we wanted to go and which vendors we wanted to go with. It wasn't just because we do have a lot of IBM experts. But I think so from my point of view, what I was looking for, we want to make sure that we could build a platform that is highly resilient. These are the things. So to start off with, the foundation's got to be, it's highly resilient. And of course, IBM Power 10 has dominated this market, or not Power 10, but IBM Power has dominated this highly resilient availability for years. It's been, I think Steve can quote me, has been up there as being the most resilient platform there is out there. And it has been for, I think, 8 or 10 years.
13 years now.
13 years now. And then the second thing is that you want it scalable. I've talked about us having islands of servers, and that the difficulty as you grow the islands of servers and as you scale the islands of servers cause, from an operation point of view, from a cost point of view, from many different aspects, islands of servers in today's day and age really cause you problems. And the thing about, especially now with Power 10, scale is not a big issue. We can scale up and we can scale out both with IBM Power 10. We can do either of those things, and you can either do either of those two things in the same server. So from a scale point of view, it has that. The next thing you really need, especially in today's market, is flexibility. And I mean flexibility from not just, we can scale up a server, we can scale down a server, we can move them around. But flexibility from licensing points of view, with IBM Power 10, you got, or even from Power 9, you got Pools 2, really available, and the flexibility of being able to move those licenses with Pools 2, and the just like any of the other virtualization layers, Power VM gives us the flexibility to move workloads around, so and some of that's been there for a long time, but it has that flexibility as well. Coupled with that,
sorry, Louise.
Coupled with that is maintainability. So a lot of the things with the storage islands, it becomes very difficult to maintain them. With our new secure hybrid, global secure hybrid cloud, maintainability is going to be built in with the fact that we're going to have resilience in there. So when we want to actually upgrade a server, we would just move the workloads off that server and upgrade the server, and then when we need to upgrade another one, we just move workloads onto the one we've moved off of, upgrade it first and move on. So maintainability becomes built in. It was always there with IBM from things like concurrent updates, but we've just taken that to the next level, especially within the IBM I space, which has historically been difficult. Then there's this big thing that's coming along now with security, and security's been a big thing. And of course, Power 10's got in-memory encryption. The storage that we have is encrypted. It's all quantum safe cryptography, so we're thinking of the future. So we're not just thinking of today, we're thinking of the future. And then, to add everything, the list doesn't stop there. The green potentials, an IBM Power 10, I mean, the consolidation that we're getting with Power 10 is immense. And what that means is that our power utilization is coming down. I mean, on average, on average, we're going from 8 servers down to 1, and so the consolidation is coming down. And largely, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, sort of, as you start to talk about this piece about that, I wonder if we can also bring Stuart in as well, just in terms of that and how that's working. How we're actually building it out for customers alongside how we're building the platform.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of what are we building, we're actually building the secure cloud environment to maintain your critical data that's got easy access for the customer, and only a few simple steps to migrate your workloads, making it a simple migration. It has the ability to run both simple and complex workloads, where today you may be running in isolation on your on-prem servers. It offers the integrations into other public cloud providers too. We truly believe it is scalable, reliable, resilient solution that we've got, so that we can maintain customers' critical data.
And on top of that, we're not just talking about AIX and IBM I, of course, we're talking about Linux and OpenShift as well. So we're talking about converged platform, not just one operating system, but multiple operating systems converged on the same platform. So we're bringing everything closer together and making all of that simpler because it is one platform. And the other thing that's really, really important, it isn't just about, what we've got to think of what's happening in the industry. And and what's happening with the what our clients' needs are. And basically applications thirst for processing has always been there. We've always known that applications are thirsty when it comes to processes, and that's getting bigger. It's not getting smaller. But what people are less considering, in my opinion, is the applications thirst for memory. And one of the crucial things here is that, as the applications become more memory hungry, as applications need the access to that memory becomes faster, especially with the expansion of AI. When you look at what can be delivered by Power 10, no other server platform out there today can deliver what future applications are going to require than Power 10 does today.
And I think, this is absolutely fascinating. And I think there's so much to understand in terms of why that is. And I guess particularly in the environment where we are, where everybody's talking about public cloud and how public cloud is everything. I think, Louise, what you're talking about is actually there's a lot of complexity out there. There's a lot of mixed workloads, around IBM I, AIX and Linux and alongside, and how that's managed in a secure hybrid cloud, and the importance of being able to manage across those. Steve, I actually have a slightly the elephant in the room, I guess, as well, is IBM has a cloud with Power already. How do you see the positioning of Service Express capability, IBM Cloud, and all those other cloud options?
Yeah, Sinead, really good question, obviously, right? We have been on a journey to both enable the platform for cloud and for service providers like Service Express to deliver a cloud, or customers to develop their own cloud, right? Louise did a great job of describing how we have built Power 10 from, kind of the ground up around cloud capability, right? Obviously, the scale and capability that it delivers is great. The automation capability and tools we have delivered are good. The isolation that it provides for multi-tenancy, all the stuff Louise has talked about. But we also built our own cloud, right? Power Virtual Server in the IBM Cloud that we started rolling out 2 to 3 years ago, have a lot of great usage. It's really an outstanding environment for those AIX, IBM I, and Linux on Power workloads. IBM itself is using Power Virtual Server to run our own SAP environment, and we'll run our SAP HANA environment in that cloud. But it really is targeted towards a VM as a service, multi-tenant, public cloud type of experience for customers. And what I think is great as we, work with service providers like Service Express is the ability to customize, the ability to handle some of the things Louise and Stuart have already talked about of why clients come to Service Express to, tailor or optimize your journey for the cloud. They still may, as Stuart mentioned, integrate into, any of the hyperscalers or IBM Cloud for different services, but be able to provide kind of that unique customized journey for clients as well. And that's why I'm excited about the new offering that we're talking about here today, is it just give client more of those options to really optimize about what they need for their environment.
Thank you, Steve. And I think that sort of starts to give that view that is actually, there is a bit more complexity out there than perhaps sometimes the stories of that journey to cloud tell us, and how actually those different cloud options are actually different infrastructure options. And that actually the picture is about how you bring all of that together. But we mustn't forget those mission critical applications. And there is a reason why, as Louise had also mentioned earlier on, everything hasn't already gone to cloud. And we've been on the journey, the cloud journey, for more than a year. And even though we think it's mature, I think what we're hearing is there's a lot more to go. Steve, let me start with you. I wonder if everybody could actually, if we could actually think about the future. How do you see this playing out over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so, it's interesting, right? We have been on this cloud journey for, I don't know, depending on, where you want to choose the starting point, the last decade or so, from when AWS first started kind of promoting their own view. But we're in the early stages, I would say, still, right? As clients move beyond some of these, early workloads as we kind of started this discussion towards their mission critical workloads. And we know it's a journey overall, right? IT is all about innovation. How do we deliver new capabilities? How do we help our joint clients to optimize their solutions, to deliver better services to their customers in a more efficient way? And so this journey that we're on is going to continue to evolve. In fact, one of the big, buzzwords coming out of both Gartner and IDC and others from an analyst standpoint is repatriation right now, right? Where clients may have tried a, public cloud service and now are looking at more of a customized, service provider type of approach to bring that workload back to get that optimization that they need and agility that they need. So it's clearly a journey. I would say, as customers, you need to think through what are those key workloads to move, and then, pick the right partner to really begin, helping you through that architecture, that ability to access other services and to optimize your own environment. So it's a journey that's not going to stop. As you said, as I look 5 to 10 years, we'll continue to be talking about, multi-cloud kind of environments. As with a customer in Switzerland just a month ago, who was actually addressing, they've already moved into one of the public clouds. Obviously, they have an on-prem cloud in their view on power, and they're expanding to more clouds, right? And so it really is a ongoing journey of optimization of IT, which is the business we're all in.
Thank you, Steve. Stuart, moving the same question across to you around the next 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely. I'm just going to talk a bit about the history as well as going back and forth. So we've been migrating customers into the Service Express cloud for many years now, probably hundreds and hundreds of IBM I, AIX, Linux, VMs, LPARs. This is what Service Express do day in, day out. We've got a talented team of technical experts that are constantly reviewing and improving the way we deploy customers, in terms of the way we've deployed cloud in the past and how we take advantage of the innovation and the new technologies to move into our advanced cloud. We have a simple onboarding process that makes it easy for our customers to transition. How do we do this? People may be asking. We have a cloud readiness assessment that we work with the customer that I talked about early on, asking lots of questions to understand a customer's environment and also help the customer understand existing costs, hardware costs, software costs, IT resource costs that are prevalent for on-prem customers. So for me, it's all about understanding what we need to get our customers to the cloud. But from our Power 10 offering that we're talking about here, I really see this as a great opportunity to take advantage of the benefits of the Power 10 platform.
Thank you, Stuart. And so you see that as actually part of the future, which is, which is really lovely to hear. And I guess, Louise, just in terms of turning that across to you, because obviously you've bet on actually the Power 10 around our platform. It'd be great to hear about what you think about the next 5 to 10 years.
So that was an interesting phrase. It's not just the betting on the Power 10 platform, which is great now and probably is going to be great for a few years to come. But what I'm betting on is the relationship that we're building with IBM. And what I mean by that is it is a relationship that we are growing together. So we're building this Power 10 cloud so that when Power 11 comes along, it won't be a noticeable shift for you guys. You'll just be on Power 11, assuming your applications and your operating systems are at a level that will go to Power 11, then you will go to, it would just go to Power 11. So we're future-proofing the way we're actually implementing this technology in our cloud. That future-proofing for you will be just part of that journey. But the other commitment that we're doing between both IBM and ourselves is that we're working together to make sure that what's been designed and built will meet your requirements in the future. So I'm not saying we have everything that we need today and we have everything that right today. And I guess that, Steve will say from IBM, we don't have everything right today either, but we're working on it and we're working on it together. And between us, we will get everything. We will continue to develop and we'll continue to build. I will continue to push Steve and IBM to give us the tools and the materials and the servers to meet the needs of 2025, 2027, to make sure that what they're designing and what they're releasing is fit for what we need and our clients' needs. And this journey that we've done just with the secure hybrid cloud that we're putting in now demonstrates to me that IBM are committed to us on that journey as well.
Thank you, Louise. I feel incredibly optimistic and actually hearing from everybody as well. And also quite excited about, talking to you about the journey that we're all on and actually how we can optimize for the market and for customers. So cloud is only mature, really, I think is what I was hearing today, for more less mission critical workloads. And actually there's lots still to be done around those mission critical workloads. And that's a really exciting place for us to continue to work with our customers. I'd like to now ask Venetia if there has been any questions from the audience.
Yes, we have a few questions that have come in. There's a question. It was mentioned that moving to the cloud has some complex requirements. How can clients get started?
Stuart, would you mind helping us with an answer to that question?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sinead. So I think I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have a cloud readiness assessment. So however complex your workload is, we have specialists that can unpick those challenges of application complexities, whether it's what is believed to be a complex workload that talks to a different server in a different location. We have a team of experts that can unpick that, measure the bandwidth, check to see what files are being transferred, whether it's an ODBC connection, an FTP connection, if that's a complex challenge of a complex workload. So all of the questions can be answered in the cloud assessment discussion.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stuart. Venetia, are there any other questions that have come through?
Yes, there's another question around AI and inferencing. What does inferencing deliver?
Steve, I think that's a question for you.
Yeah, so one of the things that we mentioned earlier, right, around the design point of Power 10 is we actually have built in AI acceleration for inferencing type of workloads right in the Power 10 chip, right? Which means you don't have to offload data, offload work into, customized kind of environments like GPUs, because most AI kind of technologies or capabilities are built around machine learning type of things. And what inferencing does is it actually is the ability to assess or analyze a set of data and obviously come up with the best solution based on the training that has been done around those modules. And again, most AI in the future will be inferencing oriented, machine learning oriented kind of capabilities. Just some examples, right, around price analysis or supply chain optimization or those type of analytical things are all driven kind of from a machine learning. And like the many other things we talked about around security, sustainability, and obviously scale and agility, we built AI right into the Power 10 chip. And so as customers and organizations move their workloads and add that capability to their applications, it'll get accelerated on the platform automatically.
Oh, amazing. I mean, that is so interesting, isn't it? And we saw, again, things like the autonomous vehicles and all of those different things that we saw at Gartner over the last few days. You can see that this is actually part of that. And we spoke to the IBM team who were showing the submarine, and they said Power 10 was in the middle of it as well. So that sounds like the applications of it are actually quite amazing, but also really, really practical as well. Venetia, do we have any more questions?
We have one more question. What do you do about modernizing or transforming a customers' IBMI-based applications?
You want me to answer that, or do you want to answer that, Steve?
Go
Or
ahead.
should we do it together?
Yeah. Why don't you start on
Yeah, so basically, when you're transforming your applications, if you go into to microservices, OpenShift, or anything like that, then built into the Power 10 or in our architecture, we have OpenShift as one of the operating systems that you can use, or one of the systems that you use, and also Power Linux. Also, you can bring things closer together. So, most Linux's applications, as long as they haven't been written specifically for the Intel platform or Intel core processor, can be migrated to the Power Linux space. And I believe you've got a way of doing that. IBM have a way of migrating into the Power Linux space, I believe. Is that not true, Steve?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in fact, obviously, as we have acquired Red Hat, or they acquired us, depending on your view, it's been a great relationship. We've brought the entire Red Hat middleware suite over to Power Technology, so you can develop natively, even on the new hybrid cloud platform we're talking about here, natively with OpenShift. Or it's very easy to port applications, right? We had a client move off of an application they had tried on AWS that did not scale well for them. They moved it off that platform onto Power, and they moved it in one day, right? Containerization is very portable. Yes, you might have to do some slight recompiles and test, but it's very portable. And we run those containerized applications like most applications, but in working with Red Hat, with about 4 times the throughput of a traditional Intel-based platform. So running those OpenShift applications on the Service Express infrastructure will be both fairly seamless and get you tremendous low latency, high throughput capability.
But not only that, it all brings it closer. So rather than to having your business critical backend, say in our cloud, and your more scale out, modernized applications in a hyperscaler, you can actually bring them in house and to us and bring them much closer onto the same platform, bringing it all closer together.
Thank you. That was a very good answer. Thank you. Do we have any more questions?
We do. We've had another question come through. What do you do with the peripheral servers that need to be close to the IBM system for latency reasons?
So again, I think this probably Stuart and I can answer this. So it's depending on what you call by peripheral server. If we're talking about anything that's sitting on VMware, then we have a VM farm actually in our whole data center, so we can bring that really close as well. So if it has to be within the same data center as the Power platform, and we can't actually get it onto Power, then we can still administer that by putting it on our own VM farm. But it really depends on what you mean by traditional edge systems. I don't know if you want to elaborate further, Stuart. You might be closer to that than I am.
Yeah, we have that as quite a common theme when we migrate customers in, where we the solution is to deliver X number of AIX or IBM ILPARs, and we find that there's an Intel VM, Intel server sitting on-prem still, and there's an FTP or an ODBC or file transfer, that it has some network latency challenges. Typically what we do, we bring that on board into our cloud offering as well. As you mentioned a few minutes ago, Louise, we've got a VMware estate as well. I think that's what we're talking about there, but if not, please share.
Thank you. And I think we have time for just one more question, if we have any.
Most IBMI systems are still using physical backups. How can we help with that?
I think this is great for you, Stuart. I think you'll be better than me at that at the moment. Absolutely. So physical backup, we at Service Express, probably 10 years or so ago, we moved into virtual tape libraries. So we've been using the virtual tape solution for probably 8, 9, 10 years now. And we find that so much better, reduced errors with physical tapes not being able to restore, etc., and the ease, no manual tape unloading, etc. So our standard offering is virtual tape library.
Thank you. And I think there may have even been one or two more questions, but if it's okay, we will respond to those afterwards. I would like to wrap up by saying a huge thank you to Steve and to Louise and to Stuart. I think it's been a really, really interesting conversation. Yeah, it's a final thank you.